Will Mueller be satisfied with written answers, or is a subpoena still a big possibility?
I think it's very unlikely that Mueller is looking at this as an exercise that he's satisfied at the end of. He'll get written answers. No prosecutor really wants that from a witness. What prosecutors value is a questioning process where you can clarify and dig deeper into details. But one negative for the president is that while this process is still ongoing, assuming Mueller isn't satisfied and is contemplating partial answers in a subpoena, there's really no possibility of ending the investigation without this process of questioning the president coming to a conclusion. Mueller will have that additional argument to make that this phase is still in process.
Brett, not much has changed in the back and forth between Team Trump and Robert Mueller's team. But in the last few weeks, it's all about the concerns of Matthew Whitaker, now acting attorney general. And in that interview with Chris Wallace yesterday, Trump was specifically asked, had he heard how critical Matthew Whitaker has been in the past of Mueller and the investigation? And here's what the president said.
Did you know before you appointed him that he had that record and was so critical of Robert Mueller?
I did not know that. I did not know he took views on the Mueller investigation as such.
And when you found that out?
I don't think it had any effect. If you look at those statements they really can be viewed either way. But I don't think it will have any impact.
He says there's no collusion.
Chris, I'll tell you what.
He says you can starve the investigation.
What do you do when a person's right?
Brother, please. Do you actually believe that? I mean, when it comes to Jeff Sessions, as far as agenda, President Trump and Jeff Sessions were in lockstep on an agenda. It was all about Sessions and the Mueller investigation that got President Trump so fired up. So do you actually believe he didn't know this about Whitaker when choosing him?
No, it's extraordinarily difficult to believe it because the president had to go so far out of the chain of command. The obvious next successor to Jeff Sessions, once Sessions had resigned, would have been Rod Rosenstein. So why did he choose a chief of staff with poor qualifications, who was considered to be holding his seat unconstitutionally, even by conservative lawyers like John Yoo? The only possible answer you can come up with is that Matt Whitaker has expressed himself very publicly on CNN and elsewhere on the subject of the Mueller investigation. That is the only reason why this administration would want Matt Whitaker in that office, rather than having even conservatives question the fitness of his appointment.
Yet Mitch McConnell doesn't think he needs to move forward in protecting Mueller and the investigation?
Obviously not. They want to continue to protect Trump more so.
But it doesn't have to be an obviously not. There's plenty of Republicans who are saying, yes, let's protect this. And Mitch McConnell isn't.
Well, there's Jeff Flake.
Yes,
how many other Republicans are there?
I should say that.
There's this one
plenty
Republican
who feel that way, but there's one. There is Jeff Flake.
Who has that ironic last name. But, you know, he has to know. He had to know. We're on TV. He watches TV more than we do. Trump does. So he knows everything that Matt Whitaker has always said. And on these questions, I laugh because he's like that. You have children. You do too. You need help with your homework? No, I want to do it by myself.
I'm all set.
I want to do it. That's him on the questions. Who does that? If I were his lawyers, which he may not even have real lawyers doing any work, I would be having a stroke right now. How on earth can he answer written questions? But he has to prove, because he's really a child, I can do homework all by myself. I can do it. It's me, it's me, it's me. Who does that? So he's probably making it even worse for himself.
But we need to say the most obvious thing. The reason he's answering these questions in written form is that the chances of Trump not lying in an oral interview are the chances of Tweety Bird not tweeting. I mean, that's just, it's not something that happens, and that's the core point that needs to be made.
That is a very important point. All right, Joyce, I want to share more of what the president said about Whitaker and the Mueller investigation.
Whitaker decides in any way to limit or curtail the Mueller investigation. Are you okay with that?
Look, it's going to be up to him. I think he's very well aware politically. I think he's astute politically. He's a very smart person, a very respected person. He's going to do what's right. I really believe he's going to do what's right.
But you won't overrule him if he decides to curtail.
I would not get involved.
He describes him astutely politically. This is a legal job, not a political job, right, Joyce?
Yeah, that's not really the qualification that comes to the top of your mind when you're trying to pick an attorney general. You want someone who knows the law. You want someone who's steeped in the traditions of the Justice Department. You know, President had a lot of choices in that regard who were good, well-aligned Republicans, certainly, you know, quote unquote, politically astute, but also understanding the importance of the independence of the Justice Department. Whitaker doesn't look like one of them, and there are these stories where he explicitly told people in the CNN green room that he was going on TV to talk about the need to limit the Mueller investigation to get Trump's attention. And that's what happened. He was forced onto Jeff Sessions, who took him on as his chief of staff, and now he's the attorney general. It's unprecedented.
All right, I want to transition to another big topic. This one has me very upset. The president's treatment of the military, and specifically what he said about retired Admiral William McRaven. I want you to listen to this.
Bill McRaven, retired admiral, Navy SEAL, 37 years, former head of U.S. Special Operations.
Hillary Clinton fan.
Special Operations.
Excuse me, Hillary Clinton fan.
Who led the operations, commanded the operations that took down Saddam Hussein and that killed Osama bin Laden, says that your sentiment is the greatest threat to democracy in his lifetime.
He's a Hillary Clinton backer and an Obama backer. And frankly,
he was a Navy SEAL.
Wouldn't it have been nice if we got Osama bin Laden a lot sooner than that?
Are you kidding me? McRaven told CNN, quote, "I did not back Hillary Clinton or anyone else. I'm a fan of President Obama and President George W. Bush, both of whom I worked for. I admire all presidents, regardless of their political party, who uphold the dignity of the office and who use that office to bring the nation together in challenging times." Mark, and because, as you said, the president watches cable news, so let's remind him. The day after William McRaven graduated from college, he joined the Navy. He rose up to a Navy SEAL. He ran SEAL Team 6. He was the commander of the Special Ops Forces. It was the CIA who found bin Laden. And when they did, boom, SEAL Team 6 went in. He left his position at the University of Texas a year ago because of an illness. And this is what the president has to say about him. What do you make of this? And where are veterans groups today defending him?
I don't know where veterans groups are specifically, but I know that this is offensive to many veterans. I hear from veterans even calling in my show. And this runs the risk because Republicans are often viewed or perceived, or the Republican Party, as the party of the military that's most supported by the military. But that, you know, has always been somewhat mythical. We saw former veterans elected in Democratic Party.
It may be mythical in fact, but as far as the brand goes, the Republican, yes.
But see, this is how you could potentially create more Jeff Flakes, so to speak. Republicans who decide, you know, this president is really not doing the right thing. Because when you have that brand and you're offending members of the military, also I hear from military members who are concerned about our foreign policy. People don't join the military out of any bloodlust. They look what he's doing with North Korea. They also look, I've had people call in very concerned about what's going on with Saudi Arabia and how he continues to not do anything to end their enabling. So I don't think this helps him. I don't think it helps the party. He's reckless.
I think President Trump should have had his bone spurs much earlier than he did in order for his draft deferments from Vietnam.
But hold on.
This is nothing. This is reminiscent of nothing except the way in which he attacked John McCain. And
then where is the rest of the Republican Party? You sat with me when John McCain's funeral procession was going on, and we said, this is a reflective moment for all of those political leaders. We will see what they will take from this ceremony and as they consider their legacy. And I don't hear from any.
Yeah, well, there's a great deal of the fake patriotism of Trump supporters who claim to be 100% in favor of the military, but when it comes to just attacking the credibility of someone who, or the character of someone who has as much credibility as Admiral McRaven, are silent. They're the dogs that don't bark, and it just shows the ways in which Trump has deformed the Republican Party, the way in which he has taken what used to be its supposedly core values, trashed them with the acquiescence of people like Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan and the rest of the Republican leadership. I mean, if Republicans don't stand up for McRaven, or if they simply accept the argument that even if he's a Hillary Clinton supporter or an Obama supporter, doesn't detract one iota from his patriotism, his competence, or his heroism, then you have a serious problem. Of course, we've had this problem now for 3 years.
Well, they have been silent up
more.
until now.
I
But
don't
they
think
can
it'll last,
change
though.
that.
I
They
don't
can
think it'll
change that. I want to also share
Thanks so much.
what the president said. You know, he has not visited troops in a war zone. He did not go to the cemetery in France. He didn't go visit Arlington on Armistice Day. But this is what the president said.
I don't think anybody's been more with the military than I have as a president in terms of funding, in terms of all of the things I've been able to get them, including the vets. I don't think anybody's done more than me. I've had an unbelievable busy schedule, and I will be doing it. On top of which, you have these phony witch hunts. On top of which, I mean, we've just been very busy. But I will be doing that.
Arlington National Cemetery is across the street from him. Mark, what's your take on this, especially for the president to say nobody's done as much for the military as I am? Just last week, we were reporting the IT issue with the GI Bill and all of these vets who aren't getting their payments for education and housing expenses.
And he also wanted in the vote count early, which would have excluded the votes of military members overseas.
Good point.
So he's spinning himself. He's doing all of his, projection. I'm the best for the military, because that has been that Republican brand. But military members are smarter than that. And, he may be able to fool some of the audience on Fox News, but he's not fooling them.
Then before we go, Brett, what I don't get is these events should be layups. No biggie. It's
Right.
unforced errors. Why wouldn't the president do it?
Stupid.
No, I mean, look, it's laziness, but it's also the fact that the Republican Party lets him get away with it time and again.
But why would he want to get away with
it? He doesn't
it?
go and visit one of the largest cemeteries in Europe. We just had the 100th anniversary of the First World War. 116,000 American doughboys gave their lives for the liberty of France and Europe, and he couldn't perform the simple courtesy that somehow his chief of staff was able to perform, which was to pay his respects at that funeral. And by the way, I would say once again, I remember whenever Obama had the smallest misstep at one
Tan
of
suit,
these
holding a cup of coffee,
tan suit or whatever, Fox News was all over President Obama for what were at most misdemeanor, trivial offenses, and they are silent when it comes to Trump, which is just part of the whole corruption of the conservative establishment.
Not going to Arlington is just incompetent. That's just absolutely incompetent, because you're right. That's the easiest thing to do. It's across the street.
Well, he watches cable news all day long. Thanksgiving is coming up. Those troops that he sent to the border won't be with their families. Maybe he wants to go down and visit them.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.